This is Smooth 98.1, your love music, love live station. It is the Smooth Breakfast, your perfect start to any day during the week. Ayokunmi right here with you, ready to get into a conversation as we always do, 9 o'clock during the week. We have conversations on Lagos Talks. It's your go-to program for insightful discussions and conversations on issues that affect our daily lives. Today will not be different in any way, shape, or form. It's a special one because today is World Mental Health Day. And in line with that, we're going to be exploring a topic that is becoming increasingly relevant in Nigeria's corporate world and really in any facet of business life in Nigeria. And that is burnout and stress. Now, as many of us navigate long hours, we have high expectations and high expectations that are expected of us as well. Also, increasing demands, the silent crisis of workplace burnout continues to rise. So we'll be breaking down the science today, looking at the impact, and most importantly, what both employees and employers can actually do about it. Just to give a background into the conversation, burnout is officially recognized by the World Health Organization as a syndrome resulting from chronic workplace stress that hasn't been successfully managed. Now, in Nigeria, we see this manifest particularly in in sectors, there's the banking sector, telecoms, tech. I mean, it doesn't just stick to those ones. I mean, there's the health sector as well. Basically, if you're in Nigeria, if you're Nigerian living in Nigeria and you work on a daily basis, you are facing stress one way or another. Once you leave your house to go and, find your daily 2K or 5K as well, because 2K doesn't cut it anymore, even if you work remotely at home, there is one thing or the other that will stress you right here in Nigeria. That's just the way it is. Now, studies have shown that nearly 60% of Nigerian professionals report feeling consistently stressed at work. Now, a 2022 survey conducted by Jobberman also found that a significant number of Nigerian employees are considering career changes due to stress. Now, on that note, I'll be introducing my very special guest this morning in the person of Dr. Aishat Adaviruku Usman. She's the founder of MasterCoachHub Ltd. And she will be breaking it all down and giving us the lowdown on all of this. Very good morning to you once again, Dr. Usman. Great to have you with us on Lagos Talks.
Good morning, Ayo. Thank you for having me. Good morning, listeners. Welcome to Lagos Talks.
Yes, yes, yes. Absolute pleasure to have you on once again. For all our listeners out there, you can join us on the conversation. Share your thoughts with us on WhatsApp on 0809 4440981. You can also give us a call there if it's convenient for you. You can also give us a call on the studio line. That remains 0201 4489981. 0201 4489981. You can also join us on YouTube. We're streaming live. You can find us at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, Dr. Usman, let's begin here. What do you think makes burnout so prevalent in Nigeria's corporate environments, particularly in what we'd like to call the high pressure sectors?
Okay, so when we talk about, I would like to take it from mental health. Mental health is defined by the
Are you still there, Dr. Usman? Okay, she's back.
Yes, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, you went out very briefly, but okay, you're back now.
Okay, so um, mental health is a state where an individual realizes their potential. WHO defines it as the ability of an individual to realize their potential and contribute significantly to themselves and the community. So it's a state of emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Now, when we talk about burnout in the workplace, when our mental health is impacted, it leads to burnout. And today is October 10th. It is World Mental Health Day by WHO. Right. And the theme is mental health at work, which is why we're discussing, burnout, because one of the manifestations of poor mental health is burnout. And when we talk about burnout, it is rampant in some high pressure, um, you know, organizations. When we talk about finance, when we talk about banks and targets, and we talk about capital houses and targets. You're told to bring a particular amount of money by month end as your current balance. If you don't have that, you may lose your job. And then we also have a situation where finding a new job is very, very hard in Nigeria, right? So, individuals in finance, in tech, in oil and gas, and in law, they are they see long work hours as a badge of honor. And because they see this as a badge of honor, they also, that's number one, long hours as badge of honor, which leads to burnout. Because if you spend long hours without rest at work, you are likely to get to a stage where you feel. So what are the signs of burnout? You have irritability, you have you lose your joy in the work you do. You also have a situation where you are unable to focus at work, right? So now because individuals are trying to meet up with targets and keep their job, they're likely to overwork. And because they overwork, they're likely to get to a situation where they experience burnout. They no longer find joy in their work. They are irritable. And this can affect not only the work they do, but it can affect their family. It can affect the community as a whole. Imagine somebody that is suffering from burnout in traffic. It can lead to road accidents, right? So it's very essential that sometimes we're trying so hard to keep our jobs and we're not paying attention to our health. So I want to encourage Nigerian corporations to prioritize, employee wellness. And by doing that, it can transform the workplace and the way we work. It can also lead to better profits when we look at the bottom line.
At the end of the day, true story there. Now, from what I've seen and things that I've, should I say, to a degree experienced as well, is one of the major contributors to burnout is this issue of the hustle culture. You know how we are as Nigerians. We, to hustle, get out there. We need to, make that money. Want to be successful. And even now that, fuel prices have actually gone up again, this will definitely be stressing a lot of people out because they know that cost of living will go up once again. So they're going to think, what else can I do? I need to make more, this and that, and so on and so forth. That mentality that working harder and longer is the path to success. Now, this is something that is deeply ingrained in society. And sometimes it's even celebrated when they see, this person, he's doing this, he's doing that, he's hustling, he's hardworking, he's this and that, And the 2021 PwC report highlighted how many Nigerians work 50 plus hours a week, often without proper time for rest or even recreation. And that further adds fuel to the burnout culture. Now, Dr. Aishat, in what ways does this hustle culture actually impact employee mental health and well-being, at least here in Nigeria anyway?
Okay, so we define mental health as a state of social, physical, and psychological well-being. Now, how does the hustle culture? The hustle culture is a situation where individuals can work non-stop without rest, sometimes over 24 hours. We have people who work up to 12 midnight, and they hardly have time for rest. Now, and some people also juggle multiple jobs. Now, by doing this, individuals become mentally and physically drained because look at our bodies. If we liken our body to a car, right? A car needs fuel, a car needs to get packed at some point, a car needs to get serviced. And sometimes we're even doing this without paying attention to our nutrition. We're doing this without paying attention to any form of exercise. We're doing this without paying attention to how we regulate our emotions as individuals. And because we're doing all of this on top of, not prioritizing our physical health, our mental health, we become physically and mentally drained. So hustle culture leads to physical and mental draining of an individual. And when this happens, individuals are unable to be productive, right? It reduces productivity. And what this does, and then it also leads individuals to, make more mistakes on the job. And when they make more mistakes on the job, this impact the company's profits in the long run. So hustle culture actually do it. Yes, I know that, part of it is, can you see me and hear me?
Yes, I can.
So part of it is, economic ambition, but we must balance our lifestyle in such a way that we prioritize both our mental and physical health. Otherwise, it can ultimately lead us to depression, not only to depression, but beyond depression, like we have mentioned, there are other negative impacts of burnout, like when we have individuals who may likely, cause accidents on the road, impacting the community negatively. So it's very, very dangerous to continue this hustle culture without paying attention to our physical and mental health. So I encourage businesses to promote realistic work-life balance. It is very essential for businesses to ensure that they have a closing time which all employees adhere to, and they also have wellness programs that is compulsory for employees to take. By doing this, employees are able to recharge mentally and physically. So if we liken the body to a car, we need to fuel the body, we need to enable the body rest, and we need to ensure regular maintenance of the body. So is it not interesting that some people treat their cars better than they treat their bodies and their minds?
The irony of it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that work-life balance because a lot of people do not even want to know what that is. Hustle, 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 and all that. But hey, at the end of the day, if you don't slow down, you probably will break down. Let's take a quick break right here. When we come back in, it's still all about World Mental Health Day. We're talking about burnout and stress. My guest is Dr. Aishat Adaviruku Usman. She's been giving us a lot of knowledge about this, and we'll be talking about some of the physical and also psychological warning signs that employees should be aware of when it comes to burnout. Keep it tuned to Smooth 98.1. We'll be back in a bit. That work-life balance. Some people don't want to hear it too. Work-life balance, what's that? You don't want to hear it too. At all, at all. Welcome back to a World Mental Day Health World Mental Health Day special on Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. Your love music, love live station. Ayokunmi right here with you. It's 17 minutes past 9 a.m. on a Thursday. We're having a great time, we being me and my very special guest this morning to talk about burnout and stress, which is the silent crisis in Nigeria's corporate sector, or really in every sector that has to do with business and productivity. Dr. Aishat Adaviruku Usman. She's the founder of MasterCoachHub Ltd. She's also a transformational therapist and NLP master and practitioner as well. And she's giving us some very important insights into this. She knows what she's talking about on the matter. So you can also tune in and, of course, let us know your thoughts where it comes to burnout and stress at the workplace. Have you felt burnt out and stressed recently at work? I mean, bearing in mind the conditions that we found ourselves in Nigeria, and now that fuel prices have been increased, are you anticipating more burnout and possibly more stress as well? Come and share your experiences and what you're looking to do in order to reduce that or cut it out completely. Send messages in on WhatsApp or give us a call on WhatsApp as well. The number remains 0809 444 0981. You can also give us a call on the studio line. That is 0201 4489981. We're also streaming on YouTube. You can catch us there at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, Dr. Usman, welcome back to Lagos Talks. It's been an interesting morning so far. Before we jump back into the conversation, I can see the phone line buzzing. Let's take our first call of the day. Hello, Smooth 98.1.
My name is Paul calling from Georgia.
Welcome, Paul. Talk to us.
Yes, yeah, like mine, it all started when I was in the banking sector. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, it was all about target. It was all about the way you should dress, the way you attend to customer, and meeting up. When you meet up a particular target, you are given the next one higher. And they will come with the motivational speakers. They will come with this. They will come with that. For us to be able to meet up with that. And from there, banking is not just what you initially do as an offer letter. You know what you'll be doing at the end of the day. You might say, oh, you want to write side and side. Okay, you go to the counter so that you can count money and all this stuff. Sometimes you have to attend to busy customers.
Okay.
The food that my wife will cook for me, I will take it back home.
Wow.
And it's like that. There is no such thing as break time. And I suffer this a lot. So when it now comes to the time when they are tired of us, it's not by qualification, because I had all the qualifications. They now ask some of us to write size and size and left. That is when I now felt the effect of what it is. So you know to give your body rest. My back was almost broken. I never knew how to go about it from one hospital to the other until finally God healed me. And I told my wife, I said, look, the job I need. Hello?
I can hear you, Paul. Go ahead.
The job that I need now, I can work from home and I will have time to relax my mental health. And by God's grace, I am doing very well with what I'm doing now. Now, the thing is, it came to a point I was mentally out. I cannot even relate well with my wife. Wow. I cannot reach out to people. They will invite me for occasion. I would like to use that weekend to rest. And those people, in their own way, they are losing someone. And everybody was just suffering. No one was. So what is wrong? Is it all about the bank or where you work? But in the end, I can have time for so many things. I can even have time to work it. I'm getting very, very better.
Right.
But 12 years that I gave into that bank, it comes to almost another 15 years to get myself back. So the company doesn't have a psychiatric or everything that we check on you. That's a proper fund. Every computer should be 2-3 years back in a bank. I don't want to show the name. Because
all right.
So
I understand.
Things happen. Things happen. And many of us are on the street like that. That is why you mistakenly step on someone, they will almost want to fight you. So that's my take on it. What I went through.
Thank you so much, Paul, for coming through and sharing your experience. I mean, Dr. Aisha, I've been listening to Paul there. That is one person, and that is a story that a lot of people probably would tell. I mean, spending all that time in the banking sector, all this, like he mentioned, and you mentioned it as well, gets into the banking sector, targets this, targets that. He also mentioned that that's not all he had to do. He had to do other things as well. And he started, physically, it was draining, mentally as well. It was very draining for him. That would not have been an easy thing for him to deal with. Thankfully, he's in a much better place right now.
So, that's the most important thing. Early detection of the signs of burnout and early intervention they are key factors to recovery. Employees must be able to know what are the signs of burnout. So when they experience it and they're able to detect it on time and they're able to get help, they're able to recover. I had a client in Lagos who was a banker and was going through, the similar symptoms he described. So some of the symptoms, for instance, that individuals should watch out for when we talk about psychological symptoms is when you become irritable. You become irritable, you're unable to concentrate at work. And then you also look at the physical symptoms. When you continually experience chronic headache, chronic fatigue, and when you experience gastrointestinal to seek help. At MasterCoachHub, we offer customized solutions. When we talk about employee assistance programs, we offer some of this to help organizations, so organizations can offer this support to their staff, so they can be able to, have go through early detection and also support to recover. Like our caller who called in, he described these symptoms. If they had employee assistance program in his bank and he was able to catch some of these symptoms on time, because when you create mental health awareness, you are actually educating individuals to be able to catch. It's just like cancer. When you catch the signs on time, it's easier to treat than when you allow it take over the whole cells. When it spreads like wildfire and you are unable to contain it. But once it's still once it's smoking, or once it's just a smoke, you are able to douse it on time to contain the fire. That's what organizations and individuals also should prioritize. You have to, you are your own best doctor, you are your own best therapist. You should be on top of the situation at all times. You should be on top of your mental health. So emotionally, if you also notice that you lack motivation for your job, a job you used to enjoy, now to even wake up, get up from the bed, you find it. I have another client, this particular client allowed his own to get to the point where he can no longer get out of bed in the morning.
Oh wow.
He kept pushing himself until it got to a point where depression had set in and he could no longer get out of bed in the morning. But if he had caught it on time, and sought help, he could have been able to, if he needs to take leave from work to treat himself, he take leave off work to treat himself, and then he can go back to work. You mustn't leave the job because you're suffering from burnout, but you can take leave. Some individuals even take leave of absence if they have exhausted their annual leave. They take leave of absence without pay, or they take a pay cut to attend to their mental and physical health before they resume back to work. And this is what we must prioritize as individuals. And organizations must also have this as part of their policy to prioritize their employees' physical and mental health. Because really, do you know that there is no health without mental health? This here is the greatest real estate in the world. All of us, we live here.
The brain.
This is where we live. The physical space is just, it's a projection of what's happening here. That's why you see that, one thing can happen to someone and the same thing can happen to, Mr. A and Mr. B can experience the same thing, but their response is different. Why their response is different is as a result of what's happening up here.
What goes on in the mind, in the brain?
This is our superpower, what happens here. Because you see, life has no meaning except the meaning we give to life. So let me give you an example. A particular young lady, her brother told her, you are pretty difficult to deal with. And then she decided to interpret it to herself. Though, oh, my brother says I'm pretty. My brother says I'm pretty. So it's actually what you tell yourself. So for Mr. B, when they get that kind of information, they can decide to say, oh, so you say I'm difficult. Okay, you experience difficulty today. I'm going to show you pepper. And by so doing, you're actually working yourself up and just impacting your mental health negatively. So the meanings you give to things around yourself is super important. And this is what we help individuals and organizations do, to give meanings that empower us to life events rather than meanings that disempower us. If we look at Thomas Edison, he's one of the greatest inventors of his time. You know, he came home one day, he was a young child, and he came home with a letter for his mom. And when his mom read the letter, his mom was crying. And he asked his mom, why are you crying? His mom said, they said they can no longer have you at the school because you are too intelligent for them. And the mother took up homeschooling him. Now, long after his mother died, he was clearing out his mother's things. And then he found that letter. What was written on that letter was, your son is mad. We can no longer have him at our school. Because he was not thinking in line with how his teachers were thinking, because he was an innovator. He was a great inventor of his time. So people didn't understand how he was thinking, even at a young age. But his mother was able to take him under her wings and mold him into one of the greatest inventors of his time. So the meanings we give to things is super important. The meanings, and as mothers, as professionals in the workplace, how we deal with our subordinates, how we even deal with our superiors. Do you know we can coach our superiors? We can also coach our subordinates. Like at MasterCoachHub, in our Leader as Coach program, we have all of these tools to help individuals to either coach up or coach down, to empower themselves and also empower others to take charge of their mental health. This is where we really live. There is no health without mental health.
No health without mental health. I'll hold on to that and take a break right here. When we come back in, we will talk about organizations and their attitude towards the mental health and the mental stability of their staff. Do they see it as their responsibility? Do they see it as, hey, it's your issue, deal with it? We'll talk about that and a whole lot more on the other side. No health without mental health. And the funny thing is, there are some people that they don't believe in anything mental health. They don't have any belief in it. Mental was that,
they don't understand.
They're very, what's wrong with you? You're a man, should be a be a man, that kind of thing. And you're muted. You're still muted. I can't hear you. Okay, I'm muted now. Yeah. And of course, Love Conversation Station Smooth 98.1. It is 31 minutes past 9 a.m. It's 10/10/24. Yes, it is 10th day in the month of October 2024. Ayokunmi here with you on Lagos Talks. It is all about World Mental Health. Today is World Mental Health Day, in case you did not know. And we're talking about something under that umbrella, and that is burnout and stress, which is a sudden crisis in Nigeria's corporate employability, productive business sector, any sector that has to do with business and productivity. Burnout and stress are a huge issue. We'd love to hear your thoughts this morning concerning this, especially those who are in the corporate sector who face undue pressures every single day to deliver, to meet deadlines, meet timelines, and so on and so forth. And of course, you still need to face pressures at home and all that. So let us get your thoughts in. WhatsApp is one way you can do that. You can send your messages into 0809444091. You can also call on that number as well. you can call on the studio line, which is 0201 4489 981. 0201 4489 981. You can also join us on YouTube. We're streaming live at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. My guest remains Dr. Aishat Adaviruku Usman. She is the dynamic founder of MasterCoachHub Ltd. She's also a transformational therapist, an NLP master practitioner, and trainer as well. Welcome back, Dr. Aishat Usman, into the conversation. It has been quite an interesting morning thus far. Now, before we went on that break, I had mentioned that we need to talk about organizations as well. I mean, why do you think there's a reluctance among organizations, companies in Nigeria to actually implement mental health support structures, despite the obvious benefits? I mean, they should realize that once their staff are in a good place, mentally, physically, and otherwise, that would boost their productivity, which at the end of the day will boost the company's bottom line. Why do they see it from that point of view?
In Nigeria, mental health awareness is just gaining ground. It was not a discussion that was on the table before now, but there are a few organizations who have prioritized, who we have supported with employee assistance programs for their wellness. And, the Nigerian Economic Summit Group has a report that states that for companies that prioritize mental health, for the mental health initiatives for their staff, there is a 4%, that's not 4%, like a 400% return on the investment in the wellness programs for employees. Because, it increases productivity, it increases creativity, and also it reduces staff turnover. Now, what does this do? When you are able to retain your staff, you reduce the costs you have to incur to recruit new staff to replace staffs that may leave as a result of inability to cope with their job as a result of mental health challenge.
Right.
Now, you also are able to retain talent. Talent is key. You also retain the organizational history in individuals that have it, which reduces the time it takes to actually initiate new products and programs in your workplace. So these are all benefits of investing. So like the caller who called in, he said he had to leave the banking job. Imagine if the bank had prioritized his mental well-being with employee assistance program. What will happen is they will be able to retain his talents, and the investments they have made in him over time. But by his exiting the job, they had to find a replacement for him and also train that replacement. And it will take time for that new person to actually understand the organization and the organizational objectives, to be able to come up with creative ideas, programs, and products that would ensure that the bank gets, more customers and more profits. So it's very crucial as individuals and as organizations that we invest in employee assistance programs, which would help our employees understand, number one, understand what mental health is, so that they can be able to detect early signs of mental health challenges and also have immediate access to intervention and treatment. So it's very essential that companies prioritize employee assistance programs to help it's very important. Let me take that again. It's very important for employers to prioritize employee assistance programs to help employees cope with mental health challenges and recover from mental health challenges. And these are some of the things we offer at Master Coach Coaching and Mentoring Hub. We have offered it to a couple of organizations successfully. And like the report I quoted earlier, they have seen an increase in staff retention and their bottom lines.
All right, interesting thoughts there. Let's talk about flexible work policies as a growing solution. The growing solution to allow employees to work remotely, or offering a bit more control over their schedules. And I mean, this has been seen to reduce stress. Now, even some companies are even experimenting with 4-day work weeks and mental health days as well. Although these practices are very, very uncommon in Nigeria at the moment, hopefully they will increase in popularity. And globally, companies that have introduced 4-day work weeks, they've actually reported higher productivity and lower stress levels. Yet only about 15% of Nigerian firms have explored such measures. But one thing I've also noticed that people have told me is even when they work remote, at least here in Nigeria, even when they work remotely, they still find themselves being stressed. That, something you would think will be taken out of having to do the commute to the office and so on and so forth. But that by the side, I mean, what role do you think flexible work policies play in combating burnout? And are Nigerian businesses really fully open to adopting them? I mean, at this point, that fuel is expensive. Options are not too many.
Yes. I know of a few organizations who have adopted flexible work policy post-COVID. COVID changed a lot of things. A lot of things which we thought was not possible became possible post-COVID, because we had to start doing some of these things during COVID as our coping mechanisms, right? So flexible work policy can significantly impact employee well-being and mental health if well utilized by the employees. I think companies should really look at, how to, and, when we also talk about the high cost of living today in Nigeria and globally, would know that instituting a flexible work policy would help the organization. And also flexible work policy would include employees maybe working from home on some days of the week, or working in shifts, and also prioritizing employees who maybe have core roles to play on sites, right? To have a kind of rotational policy where employees can take off some days to rest. By doing this, organizations can improve staff retention, can improve productivity, can improve creativity, because, when you actually give staff time off, they are able to come back to the office refreshed and able to give the organization more of themselves.
Okay, interesting that you bring up the issue of organizations giving their staff opportunity to rotate, take some rest, priority stuff, and all that. Now let's paint a scenario here. An organization where, of course, you have some staff that are essential stuff. They need to be in at every point, every other day. They need to be into the other staff, because their roles are not always hands-on in the office. They can take some off days, as it were. Now, what would happen, or what would you suggest in a situation where that organization, where you have essential staff that needs to come in every day, there is a case where they're understaffed, for example, so there's no opportunity to actually do a rotation? What then can be done in order to at least ensure that those essential staff coming in every day do not get burnt out, because there's nobody for them to rotate with, but they're essential. But there's also the possibility that they get stressed and burnt out. I mean, it's a delicate balance. But what would you suggest or advise in that instance?
Okay, so what I would suggest from my study of organizations and work-life balance is that for those essential workers, the organization must ensure that they set an opening time and a closing time for them, which they adhere to strictly, so that they can be able to rest and come back refreshed. And also the organization may also think of bonuses for them to encourage them to take better care of themselves. These are my suggestions for organizations and for individuals who, are essential staff in organizations that need to go in. Of course, one other important thing that I see, I spent over 10 years in banking before transitioning into personal development. One other thing I see is employees who do not take their leave days. They actually, and sometimes it's the fault of the employee, but sometimes it is the fault of the organization. The organization, because they are understaffed in some instances, they keep their essential workers working all year round without leave. So organizations must ensure that essential workers take adequate leave days to rest and recharge. This is very essential because when you look at, mental health and what we can do, there's what we call New Start. New Start is about your nutrition, your exercise, your hydration. You must take adequate water. Your sunshine, you must take adequate sunshine. And then you must learn emotional intelligence and emotional regulation, and you must practice it. And then you must breathe right, and you must rest properly. So if you're able to do this and also take your leave days, you're good to go, whether you're an essential worker or you work as a flexible worker.
All right. Thank you for sharing that insight, Dr. Aishat Usman. Let's take a final break on Lagos Talk. So when we come back in, I'll take a couple of messages. Your calls can come in as well as we begin to round up on the conversation. It's all about World Mental Health Day, burnout and stress, the silent crisis in Nigeria's corporate sector. Stay with us. Yeah. That question was personal, but I will talk about it further when we go off the YouTube stream. We're streaming live now. I don't talk about it now. I'll talk about it after.
Okay.
Ooh. Like pay 9:45. Time has flown again, as it always flies.
Well, thankfully, we're doing something with it.
Exactly. That's the important.
Well done.
Thank you. Well done to you too. You are doing.
Even in bank, sometimes your supervisor will keep telling you that no, it's not time. You have to wait for XYZ to happen to go on leave. XYZ.
All right, welcome back into the final moments on Lagos Talks this beautiful Thursday morning. It is Smooth 98.1, your love music, love life station. Ayokunmi is my name. We're having a conversation this morning, discussion about World Mental Health Day. That's what it's all about today, the 10th of October. Every year it's celebrated. And we've been talking about burnout and stress, the silent crisis in Nigeria's corporate sector. Dr. Aishat Adaviruku Usman is my very special guest this morning. She has been sharing such priceless knowledge with us. And you can also get your thoughts in or any questions that you might have before we round up on the conversation. Time is flying by like a G6. 0809-444-0981 is the WhatsApp number. The studio line is 0201-4489-981. That is the studio line. You can come through and give us a call and, of course, share your thoughts or even your experiences as well. If you've been in the corporate sector, if you are still in the corporate sector as well, how you've been able to deal with burnout and stress. Ima from Lagos says, burnout is very real in corporate organizations like banks. Banks, your name has been mentioned quite a number of times this morning. He further says, very strenuous demands for turnovers and raising capital are placed on staff. My friend who is a banker practically went offline due to burnout and health issues for a whole month after the whole craze of sales of shares and rights issues in August. Wow. A whole month had to go offline just to get himself or herself back together. Dr. Aishat.
So, we need to have effective coping mechanisms for individuals to actually cope. We have individuals who abuse drugs in order to cope with burnout. We have individuals who, do all sorts of things just to cope with burnout. But as a therapist, I am saying that there are positive ways of coping with burnout. We mustn't allow ourselves get to the extent of, crashing before we seek help. As an individual, if your organization is not prioritizing your mental health, it's very important to have that conversation with your HR. So part of having that conversation is also about having effective communication skills. For example, you could open the conversation with your HR by asking about your employee assistance program, if you have any, or if the company. So part of also having that conversation is sharing with your HR that you feel overwhelmed with work, and is there a way that your workload can be cut? It is very important that we have these conversations for our own mental health. Nobody is going to do it for us. So part of what our employee assistance program does is also equipping the staff with effective communication strategies to be able to address issues that need addressing. So like this particular staff that just went offline for a month, was there something he could have done while he was undergoing that stress so he doesn't get to those points? Yes, there are strategies he could have, implemented by having a conversation. If they have an employee assistance program, by having a conversation with the experts that the organization has on board that can actually evaluate and share feedback with the organization on how to actually manage the situation without it degenerating to the level it did.
All right, thank you for that, Dr. Usman. Now, I need to ask you, now, for an individual who is in the workplace, bank, hospital, wherever he or she might be, and is already beginning to feel those signs of burnout, already beginning to feel stress, but is the kind of person who is so dedicated to their work, who is always, I need to show up, I need to do this, I need to do that. What would you say to that person? What is the first thing that person needs to do in order not to cross that line of, I'm still okay, to, a full-blown fire? Someone who is very dedicated to work, what is that thing or that first thing that person needs to do when they see, okay, I think I'm burning out, or I think the stress levels are too much for me?
Okay, so the person needs to know that their health is their responsibility. So everybody put your hand on your chest and say, my health is my responsibility.
My health is my responsibility.
The work must go on. Like they say in the media, the show must go on. Whether the person is there or not, the show will go on. So if anything happens to the person today, the work will go on.
Right.
So dedication, yes, but there needs to be work-life balance. So the first thing I advise the person to do is sit themselves down and have a self-evaluation, have a conversation with yourself. And then you can also see a therapist to guide you in having that evaluation, so that the therapist, in short, if you even if the organization is the one not giving, the employee time off, the employee can actually approach their medical personnel to write them a report, to do an evaluation and write them a report to the organization of the state of their health. This custom guide that's slumped at the National Assembly recently, he was actually on leave when he was called back to come and do whatever, because he was actually on medical leave when he was called back to come and do whatever it is he was doing. And then, so we need to prioritize our mental and physical health. Nobody is going to do it for us.
Nobody is going to do it for us. Now, that is a very, very weighty statement there. All right, Dr. Aishat Usman, it has been quite a great time with you this morning, as it always is. But as we round up on the conversation, I mean, just give your final thoughts and words of advice for everyone out there, for those who are the workaholics, or those who are seeing the signs of being stressed up or don't know what to do, or those who probably feel like maybe this is not a real thing, what would you say to those groups of people as we round up the conversation?
I want to say to you that close your eyes and just think of a green cow, for instance, right? And so as you think of that green cow, I would ask you, have you ever seen a green cow in real life? Maybe not. But what you tell your mind to do is what it will do. So you need to prioritize your mental health by learning how to think better, feel better, and behave better. And you can only do this by making learning a part of your DNA. Make learning a part of your DNA as an individual. As an organization, also make learning a part of your organization's DNA. This is how you can access higher levels of productivity, higher levels of creativity, and you can retain more of your staff. So this is my advice to you. Learn about mental health. It will boost your performance both as an individual and as a professional, and implement what you learn. And as an organization, ensure that you have your employee assistance program on ground to support your employees, because if you make your employees better, you're improving their productivity and adding to the bottom line of your organization. Thank you so very much for having me. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely wonderful having you. Before I let you go, once more, for those who have been listening to you, I mean, those who have been suffering from burnout, stress, whose eyes have been open right now, I would love to get more insight from you, more thoughts from you as well, advice and so on and so forth. I mean, where can they reach out to you on your IG, your X, LinkedIn, website, anywhere that they can actually reach out to you?
Okay, so you can reach out to me through my website. Our website is www.mastercoachhub.com. www.mastercoachhub.com. That is, Master Coach Hub is spelled as MasterCoach. Master Coach Hub, MasterCoach again, UB, Master Coach Hub. Thank you so very much for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Do have yourself a great Thursday and a great weekend in prospects. All about rest, recovery, mental health, very key. Very, very key. All right. And Lagos, thank you all for being a part of Lagos Talks this Thursday morning. Keep it tuned to the Smooth Breakfast. There's great music coming your way all the way till 11. Don't go anywhere.